for me, I got my start in video games on the PC. My very first game I ever got
Nice shot, AJ.
Thank you.
was the original King's Quest, which came on, I want to say 5.25-inch floppy discs
Oh my
Nice.
god.
that you had to swap out when you got to a certain point in the game. I never beat the original King's Quest, by the way, and my father and I made a point to, in order to keep track of like the entire world map, on a dot matrix printer, we drew everything out so we knew the locations, because that game you had to go from screen to screen, and if you couldn't recall which direction things were, like you'd spend hours just wandering around aimlessly. So I had that, and I had a Bruce Lee game, which was a black and white game. I never really got it to work, but it was a fighting game, and you played as Bruce Lee and you fought all these like different
You played as Bruce Lee and you had to build hamburgers in time for all of your customers that were coming into your restaurant.
Yeah. You had to fight all these like Chinese warriors in like old castles and stuff like that. And it was, I don't know, it was pretty one-dimensional, but kind of fun.
So, I was born in the same year that the Nintendo Entertainment System came out.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. So,
You're in the jungle, baby.
I'm gonna die.
I'm sorry, Maryann. I saw that splash screen. I had to
It was very
interrupt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your older brother was...
Yeah, he was 5 years older than me, so
Yeah.
that's why
That was your intro?
He had all the games, yeah. And so my first game was, the original Mario with Duck Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to play Duck Hunt as a very small child by holding the gun against the TV screen and shooting the ducks.
Like everyone did when they got frustrated enough.
Well, that was just how I was able to play. So I was just happy to, contribute. I also shot the dog. I don't know how many...
Everyone tried.
And yeah, like my very first game that I actually played
Like
for
on
real,
on your own, and
was Breath of Fire 2, which
That's
was
a
on the
great
Super
game.
NES. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you would have said Godzilla for the for the NES.
I was always player 2 because my brother was the main gamer and he always wanted to be Godzilla, so I was Mothra.
we should
so-
hook up Godzilla. That's a
I
great
have
game.
It. I have it. Let's play it.
Like on you now.
I wish.
It's in your pocket.
No, but I bought it for Maryann for the NES.
Yeah, AJ got me an NES and he got me that game, and it was hooked up in the bedroom, so like I would just sit on the bed and have a little nostalgia.
That was one of Will's favorite games growing up. He loved
The
Godzilla.
music in that game is so good.
Like we were confused as hell about how to like go through the levels for so long, and there because you had
shoot.
yeah, basically yeah the side scrolling levels, yeah, but then you had to like choose your spot on the map.
Oh,
On
right.
like that, it was like
Yeah, the
not a
different
hexagon
terrain.
map, and you had to be one was in space, one was underwater, one was just like terrain.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
And like you could choose like, oh, Mothra is really good for this level. I should play as Mothra on this one, but not on the other one. Something like that.
Yeah. And then there was, at the end of the map, there would be a base that you had to infiltrate, and it was all
Yes.
mechanical, and Godzilla was always really good for that, but you had to get through it with Mothra. Unless you had an older brother who could carry you. And, and then if you beat it with Godzilla, you go on to the next planet, and Mothra doesn't have to do that.
I was about to say AJ met his match.
Yeah.
So my follow-up question is, well, all the systems, for each of the systems that you guys owned, what was your favorite game for that system? Like specifically, not like a remake that was ported or anything like that, but like an
Like
original.
your all-time go-to, like
This game.
like if you could have one game for the rest of your life, kind of game.
Yeah, like if you were Desert Island style.
Breath of Fire 3.
Okay. So AJ answered Wonderboy 3.
Wonderboy 3, The Dragon's Trap. I mean, I really is my absolute favorite game for the Master System.
But Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Oh no!
Well,
Can I only have one game?
One per system. Oh no, wait, Breath of Fire 2 is Super NES. Yeah, so you can pick a PlayStation game for separate, right?
Wait, are we doing like
Wow, this is a very
one game per one system? Because I
Yes.
mean that's really tough. Because
This is a very accommodating desert island if we
Yeah.
have every system but only one game for each system.
this useless PlayStation. It's only got Symphony of like I was gonna say Super Metroid, but you're right. Symphony of the Night
has way more replayability.
And great voice acting. But you love Super Metroid.
I fucking love Super Metroid.
Yeah, like.
But I mean, granted, like
game
you can
couldn't
finish
replay.
that game in under 3 hours, no problem. And then what are you gonna do? Replay it again? Because it's not like you're leveling up. Symphony of the Night, like there are stats. You can collect weapons that are really rare. You
Yeah.
can, like,
And you can choose not to use those weapons and just fight with your fists. Just
yeah,
punch
exactly.
everything.
There's much more dynamic things you can do in Symphony of the Night than you can do in Super Metroid. You could play a whole game with just your fists, like you said. You could play a whole game with just. See if you can get through the whole game with nothing.
And, well, you can kind of do those runs to Super Metroid as well. You know, you deny yourself
a
missiles, you
point.
use skips.
Yeah.
You know,
But that's a question of like how skilled are you then? Like how many secrets can you find? Because like if you can like spark dash really well, then yeah, you can get through the game really quickly. If you can bomb jump really well, yeah, you can get through the game really quickly. And that's like all skill based, literally like how well can you enter button configurations?
Not very well.
Yeah.
Like, as we return back to Blasphemous, I cannot get the damn thing that I need to get through the poison vapor.
Actually, I was reading up because I first got Blasphemous on the Switch, so I could like play it mobile. I could go to work and play it. You know, I could throw it in my bag and you know, get a couple minutes in here and there. But I could also like fall asleep while playing it in bed instead of like having it on the TV and playing it.
It's so beautiful though. Like having
It
it
really
on the big
is.
screen is
And like
worth
the
it.
voice acting in that game is phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
so good.
and eventually you earn enough health that you can just like take hits and not
Not
be
worry
so
about it
squishy,
as much.
unless you hit spikes, which are auto death.
Yeah.
I was doing this challenge where I had to collect these three.
Ugh.
I had to kill 3 different enemies to cross the map and get back to a certain point, all
I know
without
what you're talking
dying.
about. Yep.
And I did it. I
Brutal.
killed all 3. I'm like, okay, on my way back, and like just gotta jump over this very, very simple pit. And I just walked into the pit
Yep. You guys are playing on Switch as well, right?
on
Yeah.
Switch.
All right,
yeah.
so the point that I'm making is somewhat appropriate. Because I purchased it on PC as well, so it'd be easier to play for the channel because of the control setup. Because the Pro Controller, I'm a huge fan of. I feel like it's very sticky and delayed.
I hate that controller.
All right, so it's not just me.
AJ has no problem with it, but I can't play Tetris. I can barely play with it.
I can get through. Like we started playing Super Metroid, and I was like, "This is really fucking hard." Like I'm used to playing Super Metroid with a Super NES controller.
Yeah.
And like using the Pro Controller is super hard because I'm used to playing it on Super Nintendo controller, but it doesn't have that same kind of response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you
But
can
so
even
anyway,
get a Bluetooth one, but it's not quite the same.
It's
I
not the
just-
same exactly.
I just have trouble hitting the diagonals, even using the D-pad.
But
I'm
I was
constantly hitting them.
I wanted to get Blasphemous so we could play on the channel on PC. So it was on sale. One of the Steam sales had it. I was like, picked it up, and I started playing it, and it was infinitely easier with the PC Xbox controller. So I was like, this is like it's not just noticeable; it's blatant. And I'm like, this is really, really bizarre. So I went into the internet, and I went into the Steam community, and like everyone has said, like the platforming on the Switch is actually kind of broken because the hitboxes where you land and where you jump from aren't the same as they are on PC.
Ah,
And I was like,
that would
really?
make
Is it
things so
is
much
it
easier.
that bad that they had to put a patch? And they did. They patched it out. It should be better now.
Oh my god.
But I got it when it was like brand spanking new, like version 1.0. And yeah, it was really fucking hard to do the platforming. You would walk into a spike pit,
Yeah.
and like I know I pressed jump.
I hit
Yeah.
that button. Yeah.
We were talking about this during our last play session. I mentioned that I played Breath of the Wild, but I borrowed a Switch from Joe, my neighbor,
Oh yeah,
and I borrowed the system with the 2 Joy-Cons like attached to it, but not like the dock or anything like that. So I was playing it in bed, and I noticed early on that
you had drift.
the joystick for the control of Link had drift in it, so he was like constantly moving in a particular direction, which doesn't seem like a big deal until you start playing that game and you realize how much like exact precise control you need to have, especially when you're in temples and shrines and whatnot. And I just really struggled. I had to like overcompensate a lot in that game to prevent myself from dying more than I did.
It was the left Joy-Con, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a known hardware issue.
Yeah.
If you turn those into Nintendo, they'll give you a new one.
Yeah, well, it wasn't my system.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember you complaining about that. And I was like, just borrow my Pro controller.
Yeah. And when I
then,
finally
like, a
did,
week
I was
later-
like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I remember talking to you about it like a week later. Like, yeah, I beat it, no problem.
Yeah.
So you climb up the full left side of the tower, and then you fall, and you gotta go up the whole right side.
Just like life.
Just like life.
Ives,
Yes.
you never answered your own question.
I know, I was biding time because I was trying to think of like all the systems that I own. For the original NES, it's hard. It's between one of the Mega Mans, Kirby's Dream Land, and there was another one I was trying to think of and I couldn't place. So for right now, it'll be between those two. I think Mega Man. This is going to be an unpopular answer, but I think Mega Man 5, if I'm recalling correctly, was one of my favorites.
Really?
Some
Because,
games you just have a nostalgic connection to.
yeah, I think it was one of the first Mega Mans I actually owned, and it was one where you could charge up your Mega Buster,
Yeah.
which made things infinitely easier than just the pew 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 of like individual shots. And Kirby's Dream Land for the reason that you could become like all those different creatures,
Get their powers.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
lots
the
of fun.
NES version of it? Not,
Yes.
not
Yes.
the original.
That's what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
okay.
So that was for the NES. For the Super Nintendo, it's an easy one, Yoshi's Island.
Oh,
There's
amazing, amazing.
for me,
game.
nothing compares.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
For the N64, again, this might be unpopular, but Star Fox 64. Cause
I don't think
Why
that's
would that be
unpopular at
unpopular
all.
That's a great game.
Well, because Ocarina of Time is such a beloved game, and
yeah,
like,
but I mean, it's a different style of game. That's a pure action game versus an exploration adventure game. And Star
Yeah,
Fox
it's like a
64
completely different genre.
But you could have Mario 64 and have the horror piano
oh
Yeah.
god,
and the infinite staircase.
I had so much frustration with Mario 64 because of the freaking sliding levels and like falling
Right.
off shit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Star Fox 64 was really great. Actually, it was a really excellent remake on 3DS.
The other reason I think that it's going to be unpopular is because GoldenEye was such a huge hit on the N64.
But I feel like the N64 had such a fantastic library of like AAA 5-star,
Yeah.
69 stars out of 69 stars.
You have Mario Kart also. That was like a big deal in
Yeah.
N64.
So that's going to be a very divisive system to
Yeah.
be like, yeah, this is the best game on it.
The thing is, like, you go back to GoldenEye, and it's not quite as great to play, right? As
You have to warm
it
up
was
to it.
back then, right? Mario 64 still plays and feels really excellent.
Yeah.
Star Fox 64 also still really plays and feels excellent too. So I think it's a solid choice.
Yeah. I never owned a GameCube, so I had to skip over that
Dragon
one.
Zombie.
Oh.
And for the Wii, it's
Was
a tough
the last
one
one
because
technically a dragon zombie?
What was this? It was a zombie. A zummy. That's the thing. A mummy.
What were you saying about GameCube? I'm sorry.
I never owned a GameCube. My sister did. By the time GameCube came out, I was like already in college, and I was like, I don't have time for this.
Wait,
So-
I want to appreciate that little 8-bit zombie.
Yeah.
Look at that. Oh,
He looks
man.
more decrepit.
It looks like somebody like
an
ate
8-bit.
it and threw it up.
Yeah.
I really love it. You can see through its ribs. And actually, I'm thinking of a more modern game that I would love to have and play over, which
on.
I've told AJ I wanted to go back and play the first Mario Galaxy.
Oh yeah, that was really fun playing that together.
Yeah, that was a really fun experience. The music is beautiful. It was the first time.
That game had so much joy in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like just untethered joy.
Unfettered?
Untethered.
Untethered to this mortal coil.
Untethered by gravity.
Yeah, way to go. You found
Thank
it.
you.
I never played
just
that
cut
game.
out
Like
the
I
rest.
had it in my library. And then Viv's sisters had come to visit us and stayed with us for like a week, and they're like, "Can we play some games?" I'm like, "Knock yourself out. Whatever you see there, go ahead. Please." And they started playing Mario Galaxy. I was like, "I never play. I've had this game for like 2 years. It was still in the cellophane."
Did they play it 2 players with the Starbit helper?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
It's so fun.
Maryann was my starbit helper. It was the
Because
best.
I'm terrible at platforming, so it was
And
nice.
especially that game with like
Oh,
almost
no.
zero G.
Yeah.
But she was
it's not
tenacious.
great.
Tenacious at starbit helping.
So
Piranha Man.
So it was rewarding to be able to watch the game because
I'm helping.
we weren't, getting hung up by me dying all the time. And yeah, I was just there doing the fun bit.
See, so this shield was
Making
better for
adorable
the
little
for the
noises.
mouse, but now I want to go to Mithril.
Yeah, because it makes a nice cling sound.
Yes.